think the real interesting question about Kangen water is why doesn't the National Institute of Health just run some double-blind controlled studies and test it so that we can get it out there? How could something so great not be known? And there's an answer to that. The answer is cultural. Cultures tend to have blinders and they have certain ways of doing things. And that's just the way it goes. Sort of, the Japanese and the United States have very different views of water. In the United States, we think that water is just H2O. In Japan, they were curious about additional properties of water, more subtle electronic features. Starting after World War II, then they started using electrolyzed water, ionized electrolyzed water. In agriculture, they found that you could split water through electrolysis and make some of it alkaline and make some of it acid, split it into two streams, and that the acid water could be used in agriculture both as a fertilizer because it dissolved minerals and made in the soil and made them more available to plants, and as a pesticide because it was naturally antifungal and antibacterial. Doctors started taking note of that. You'd think antibacterial, well, that's kind of interesting. So the doctors took note of that because they came from the same basic education that taught that there were more features to water, and they started experimenting with it medically, which resulted in 1966 in the water being certified as a medical device by the Japanese Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, which is their equivalent to our FDA. The alkalinized ionized water has been in use in Japanese hospitals, clinics, and has been studied in Japanese health science journals since 1966. And they now have about over 40 years of experience with it. When the product became available in smaller units in the late 80s, because the Japanese knew about it, pretty decent units were viable in the marketplace. Fast forward 10 years or so in the United States, with the marketers noticed that there might be an opportunity here. And what they did is they started dumping units that weren't built so well, which traded on the Japanese experience and widespread use in Korea and other countries as well as medical devices. However, since Americans were not familiar with it, they basically got sold bill of goods. The Enagic devices, which are the only medically certified devices in Japan, and that's an interesting story. Japan has basically the highest average lifespan in the world. The United States now is around, the figures I've seen for this year put the United States at 49th in average lifespan. The Japanese are third after two tiny countries, I think Monaco and Andorra. They spend about a little over half of what we do per capita on healthcare. So they're doing something right. And one of the things they're doing right is this water.